14 rude habits dog owners need to stop ASAP. This is a read and react, so let's go ahead and start it next. All right, let's get this week's episode going. Hey, everybody, this is Jake from OnDogTrainingAcademy.com. We are an online dog training business. Check us out if you're looking for courses, if you're looking for virtual one-on-ones. We also have free webinars. We definitely suggest you check us out on OnDogTrainingAcademy.com and see if we can help you, because I really think we can. So this episode is going to go a little bit different. This is something I've never done necessarily, not to this capacity, I guess I would say. And so what I'm going to be doing today is actually a read and react. So I like to read. Yes, I read, people. And I saw an article in the Reader's Digest, of all places, that talked about the 14 rude habits dog owners need to stop ASAP. And it piqued my interest because if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I do complain about some things that people are doing that I just don't appreciate, whether it's bad manners they're allowing their dogs to get away with, or the mentality of the owners towards their dogs, whatever it might be. But there's a lot of things. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this. And I started reading it, and I got about 4 down, and I stopped and went, look, I got 10 more. And I'm already like emotionally going, yeah, this is so true. All of this stuff they're saying is so true. And I'm like, you know what? I got to stop. And I'm actually going to do a read and react with you guys, where I'm going to read this article basically at the same time you guys are. And we're going to react together for these, because there's some good ones in there. And well, at least the first 4 that I saw were pretty good. And I might agree with some. I might disagree with some. I don't know. But we're going to talk about it, have a laugh or two. Probably you'll hear me go off on a little tangent from time to time, but this should be a good time. So anyways, I first want to give credit. Again, this is a Reader's Digest article. It was put out September 22nd, 2023. So it's a fairly new article, and it was written by Charlotte Hilton Anderson. So thank you to that person for writing this. I want to give them all the credit on this. I don't want anyone to think it was mine, because it's not. So 14 rude habits. Number 1 is not picking up your dog's poop. There's everything you need to know about this basic dog etiquette right there, right? Clean up after your dog. This is something that is a massive pet peeve of mine. And this is why I tell people, like, if you take your dog anywhere, you should always have poop bags with you just in case, right? You have to have them, because if you don't have them and your dog poops, then what? You're just like, oh, I guess I just leave it? Or you can try to pick it up with a stick? I don't know. But like, you need to clean up after your dog. Nothing gets me pissed more than when I'm walking and I step in somebody else's dog poop. That is unbelievably annoying. And so clean up after your dogs, people. Don't leave it and just, I mean, what are you thinking? The mentality of somebody leaving it. That's what I always kind of wonder, is like, okay, are they thinking it'll just go away on its own? Are they thinking, well, someone else will pick it up? And if they think somebody else will pick it up, oh my God, that is a terrible way to think about stuff. Somebody else will clean up after it, because I'm too lazy to pick up after my own dog. So yeah, as you can see, we're off to a great start here for the first one. The next one is dog etiquette for pet parents. Dog etiquette is something that is lacking in dog ownership as a whole. I completely agree. People think that everybody wants to see their dog, and I can tell you for a matter of fact, we don't. Hell, I love dogs. Obviously, I do a dog podcast. We have dog companies. I love dogs, but I don't necessarily want to see your dog. And this might come across as surprising, but it's true. And so we need to respect people's spaces and just go, I'm going to train my dog to be with me, to be good, and not allow my dog to invade people's space without their permission, without knowing that it's okay with them, because why? Why does my dog have to say hi to everybody? They don't. And the whole jumping thing. Some people just don't like dogs in general. So if a dog comes up and jumps on them, they could get mad. It's just not worth it. So we need, as dog owners, we need to work on just our etiquette for how our dogs are interacting with other people and our own control. Jumping back now to number 3, this is leaving the bag of poop on the ground. So yay, you didn't do number 1, which was not clean up after your dog. You actually cleaned up after your dog. And then you went ahead and left the bag on the ground because you didn't want to carry it on your walk. Again, suck it up, because this is something, if you own a dog, you're going to have to get comfortable carrying a bag of poop. It just has to happen, right? It has to happen. So definitely people who clean up after their dogs, good for you. But again, what's the end? You're like, somebody else will come along and pick this up? Because now you can't say, well, it will just sort of like Mother Nature will take its course and this will just go away on its own. Now you've put it into a plastic bag and you're like, I'm going to let it sit here. So that mindset is almost worse than the mindset of my dog's poop is just there and it's just whatever. Now you've picked it up, put it into a bag that's not going to degrade very quickly. And so it's going to be there for a long time unless somebody else picks up after your mess. Don't be that person. It's so rude. It is so rude. And just don't do it. Don't do it. The next one is talking on your phone at the dog park. Well, see, I'm not a big dog park fan to begin with. And I should actually say before this is leaving bags of dog poop and not picking up after your dog is amplified if you go to a dog park. Nobody wants a dog park full of shit. Okay, so just pick up after your dog, especially at dog parks. But again, I don't do dog parks. I typically don't like, the people that go there and do this type of stuff where they're not cleaning up after their dogs, or they're so focused on their phone or chatting with other people that they're not paying attention to the reason they're there, which is their dog. They're not watching their dog, and then their dog's over there humping people, good Lord, hope not, humping other dogs, maybe getting into fights. Inappropriate, rude behavior, maybe interacting inappropriately with people, and you're just sitting there on your phone tinkering around. It's not good. Don't do that, guys. Pay attention. If you're at the dog park, it's called a dog park. Pay attention to your dog. This has to be something that we need to get better at as a society, but as you guys probably know, us paying attention to anything but our phones is not getting any better. I am literally, as I'm reading this to you guys, this article is pulled up on my phone. So, like, most of our lives are on our phones. But we have to separate. We have to disconnect from our phones at times to pay attention to our dogs. Extremely, extremely important. The next one is putting your dog outside when they won't stop barking. Okay, so you have company come over, and your dog loses their mind, right? Barking, crazy barking, and your solution is to put them outside. Because that then resolves the situation where you're not going to hear the barking as much because now it's outside. So now the dog's outside barking, but it's okay because you don't hear it as much. Unfortunately, you know who does hear it? Your neighbors. Anybody in that whole area probably hears your dog losing their shit and going crazy. So don't do this. Like, honestly, if your dog's barking, that's your problem. You need to put them away or manage the barking in a way that's not going to just push the problem again onto other people. I'm seeing kind of a trend here early on where it's like, we just push the problems to other people. You'll clean up after my dog poop. You'll pick that bag up. You'll pay attention to my dog when they're at the dog park because I'm going to sit here on my phone, or I'm going to put my dog outside and you can deal with the barking because I don't want to have to. You see what you kind of see a trend here is people are kind of being selfish, you know, and again, that's kind of a society we live in. That's what we deal with a lot as pet professionals is people who are just not putting time into their dogs or paying attention to their dogs like they should. And it's definitely affecting them. So don't do that. Don't do that. If your dog's barking, you deal with it, but don't deal with it by putting it outside and really affecting other people. The next one is ignoring no pets allowed signs. So I'm kind of guilty of this, I will admit. This one doesn't bother me as bad. It bothers me to a degree, but it doesn't. But I've done it, and the reason I've done it is because my dog is super trained, like under control, obedient, everything. I know my dog's not going to run around pee on everything and get destructive, whatever. I know I can walk my dog through a place that says no pets allowed, and my dog will just do it. But that being said, we probably should respect no pets allowed because there's reasons for it. it's definitely disrespectful to the place you're in. Like, if I said no pets allowed in my house and somebody walks in with their dog, yeah, I could see it bothering people. So I will admit I need to be better at this, but it's not one that triggers me quite as bad as some of the others. Now, this next one. So now we're getting into territory that I have not read. And now, of course, my phone. Oh, thank you, Reader's Digest. I don't want this ad, though. Good grief. Anywho, all right, so now the next one, we're getting into things that I have not read yet. And so this one is calling it a support or service animal when it's not. Oh my God, we see this all the time. In our area, you go to Walmart, you will see a lot of dogs there that are quote-unquote emotional support dogs or quote-unquote service dogs, and you can tell if they are not trained very good and probably aren't ready to be in Walmart, or any store for that. The dogs are barking. I've had little dogs sitting in carts, and what service that dog provides, I don't know. I'm not going to ask the person. If it's a service dog, I don't bug people. Like, if someone says it's my service dog or emotional support dog, internally I might be like, yeah, bullshit. But I'm not going to stress that person. I am not going to ridicule that person if I don't believe them, because what if? What if they actually need this dog? But if you are doing this, if you are calling your animal a support animal or a service animal just so you can take them into places, this is what's wrong with this whole thing. And you don't need certifications. That's another issue, is you don't need a certification or any special license or anything like that. You just have to say, my dog's a service dog, my dog's an emotional support dog. It has to be here. And they basically have to allow it with some rules and regulations, of course. But if you're one of these people who are putting out fake service dogs or fake emotional support dogs.
We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Panic.
And this is Sarah.
And you are listening to Music Elixir, a podcast between two friends
discussing their favorite Asian artists and music.
Don't. And honestly, in my opinion, and we've trained service dogs before, if I feel like a dog, even if it is a service dog or an emotional support dog, if I feel like I can do whatever it is I need to do without him, I'm going to leave them back, because I do know that sometimes service dogs can be a distraction. It's fine. Like, if you need it, you need it. But I do understand. So if I don't need the dog, great. Like, we were training one and we were flying somewhere, and they're like, well, it's a service dog. Would you like to fly your dog with you inside the plane? And I'm like, you know what? In this case, no, we'll go cargo. He'll go in his kennel. He'll fly with us, but he'll be in a different area. It'll be fine, because I didn't need him, and I didn't want to stress anybody out. What if someone has a dog allergy? What if whatever? And I'm just doing this to do it. It's not necessary. So I try to take that into consideration as best I can. But don't be that person who's calling an animal a support animal or a service dog or anything like that if they're not. Don't lie. Only thing it's doing, in that moment, it helps you. It allows your dog to go into wherever it is you want them to go. Yay for you. If your dog isn't super trained and then gets into trouble or whatever, then all of a sudden you're affecting the people who actually have service dogs, need these service dogs, need these support dogs, and you're just giving them a bad name for no reason. So don't be that person. All right, we got to move on, because I could sit here and talk about this all day. The next one is allowing your dog to pee on other people's property. Oh, yeah. The one I see mostly is the dog pissing on someone else's car tire or something as they walk past, because the people aren't giving them don't have good leash etiquette, and the dog just goes past and pees on it. But yeah, I mean, look, we all know what urine can do to grass, right? So when we're walking our dog, if you allow your dog to go up into someone's property and pee on their tree or pee on their flowers or pee in their yard, period, you're potentially ruining their grass. And you can say, well, it's not a big deal, or it's just grass. But you know what? People care about their yards. Hell, I care about my yard. I don't like having pee spots all over. However, I have dogs, so I accept it. But that doesn't mean I want your dog, who's not an invited guest, to come over and piss all over my yard. Plus, we could say peeing, but let's also look at pooping and things like that. And if your dog especially if you don't vet your dog a lot, what if your dog has something and your dog poops in someone else's yard and now you're starting to spread it or something like that? Like I'm always super mindful of spreadable diseases and things like that for dogs. And I just don't want to partake in that. So when we go on our walks, the dog might have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to find a place that is as secluded. If it's a corner of like a little wood area or something, I need to have a plan of where I can possibly stop and exercise my dog and not just let my dog bail out into someone's yard to take a poop, especially if you roll into number one and you don't pick up after it. Now we're to the point where, like, if I see someone doing that, I'll pick poop up and just go, like, put it in their yard for them. I won't because it doesn't happen here, but still, I'd like to. The next one is dropping the leash to let your dog make a friend. That whole make a friend thing, oh my God. The next one. I looked ahead. I cheated. I looked ahead because I didn't want to talk about something if it was coming up, and it is. The whole dropping the leash thing because your dog wants to be a friend. Look, unless this is mutually agreed on, don't. A lot of times leashes are there for a reason, and it's to restrain your dog. And maybe your dog is fine with this whole meet a friend thing, but what if this other person or this other dog doesn't want to be your dog's friend? And suddenly now you have a fight. Or dropping the leash. Well, you know what happens when dogs meet? They circle around, they spin around, and then you know what happens to that leash? That leash gets tangled up in their legs and stuff, and then what if a fight breaks out? Now you have two dogs fighting and leashes that are tangled. It becomes a very dangerous situation very, very fast. So just be respectful. If your dog is supposed to be on leash, it doesn't mean dragging a leash. Typically, it means you have to be holding it. So be respectful and just do that. I mean, I think it's super easy to do and should be done often. The next one sort of ties into this then is letting your dog off leash anywhere that isn't a dog park. Yeah, again, I've been guilty of this 100%. I take my dog to ball fields. I'll take my dog, somewhere and pop him off leash real quick. But with that being said, I will say that my dog is extremely trained and will come back anytime I tell him to. No questions asked. And if your dog even remotely questions coming back to you ever, then you should not be doing this because you don't want your dog to bail out on you and then your dog to go over and get into a fight with another dog, whether your dog started it or not. Because your dog went into that other dog's personal space, your dog started it. So definitely, again, keep your dog on leash. That's the point of the leash. Don't let them go and be like, okay, you're free, unless you have that extreme control or the means to have it, and your dog will listen. Saying it's okay, she's friendly, to excuse bad behavior. Bad behavior, whether it's overstimulation in an excited, happy way or an overstimulation in an aggressive way, neither of them are good, obviously. So no, don't give excuses. If your dog is wild and crazy, you don't give excuses for your dog's behavior. You will just go, I am so sorry, if you need to apologize to a person, or you're just going to work on your dog's behavior, correct them, do whatever, and leave. It's as simple as that. And again, this goes back to if you're dropping your leash or if you're letting your dog off leash completely, and it ties into this. Oh, if your dog comes rushing up to my dog, I can promise you I will intervene, and it may not go well for your dog. Just because and you as a dog owner, your priority should be your own dog. Especially if you're out there and your dog's on leash and you're obeying what they're telling you to do. You definitely need to defend your dog. Step up for your dog. Because you don't want your dog to have to defend themselves. That's not their job. Not when you're out there. It's your job to take care of them. So definitely do that. Allowing your dog to jump on other people. I mean, this goes back to etiquette, right? You don't want... people... And I don't care if your dog is 60 pounds or 6 pounds. It really doesn't matter. Or 160 pounds. We can go that big. Dogs shouldn't be allowed to jump on people. If you really want to teach it, you could teach it as a command, but be very adamant that the dog doesn't jump unless they are allowed through permission. I don't care how friendly your dog is. I don't want your dog jumping on me. And again, I love dogs. Does not mean I want your dog jumping all over me. Because what if I have nice clothes on? What if I have, what if I'm going somewhere important? What if even if I don't have nice clothes on, for Christ's sake, If I just did laundry and my clothes are nice and clean and your dog comes up and jumps on me and gets their muddy paws on me, I'm not going to be thrilled about it. So, yeah, definitely it goes back to the etiquette as a whole, but the next one is ignoring what your dog is trying to tell you. I wonder what so I'll read what they're saying with this. Just like we want other people to listen to us, we need to listen to what our dogs are trying to say. When dogs bark, snarl, lunge, or whimper, they are trying to tell you they are uncomfortable with the situation, and you need to take it seriously. Dismissing the behavior could put someone else or another dog at risk or injury. Pets can communicate a wide range of feelings and wants, but since they can't exactly talk, these are among the things your dog secretly wishes you knew. Yeah, 100%. So this kind of reminds me of a situation. So back in the day, this is probably 15, 16 years ago, we went to a pet expo thing. We were in a pet expo, our business was. And so we were sitting there talking with people and stuff, and we had at the time our Basset Hound, Copper, and friendly dog, very social, was really good with everybody. And people were allowed to bring their dogs in, I believe. If not, this person did and whatever. But there were dogs in there. And this lady comes walking up with her dog, and her dog clearly was afraid. And she goes, she grabs her dog by the collar, and the dog doesn't want anything to do with my dog. And she proceeds to push the dog towards my dog, and she goes, he needs to get used to other dogs. And she's like forcing him into my dog space. Now I was able to tell Copper, hey bud, back up. Let's just go into your kennel real quick because we had a kennel there. Popped him in there, and I had to tell her, I'm like, look, your dog is telling us right now he is not comfortable. You don't get over things that are uncomfortable by just forcing your dog into it. That right there could have put that dog into defense mode and could have caused a fight that my dog wouldn't have wanted at all, right? So she was completely ignoring the dog going, I don't want to, because in her mind, well, he just needs to see this. And so she was pushing him in. And so I don't think she was thrilled, or she was probably embarrassed because I called her out, not loudly, but I was like, whoa, no, we cannot do this. But we need to pay attention to what our dogs are telling us. Dogs communicate to us constantly, but again, because of social media or because of our devices in our hands, we're missing things. We're missing our dog doing excessive lip licking. We're missing our dogs, with big eyes because they're uncomfortable. Like, we need to learn as a whole how to read dog body language, dog sounds, and understand things. And I will even add into this that even if your dog growls and you're not ignoring it, but you're going at it the wrong way, that's a problem too. Like we always tell people, if your dog growls, if your dog is telling you I'm uncomfortable, don't correct them for growling. You can correct the action if they try to attack something, but don't correct the dog saying, I'm afraid, I don't like it, because that's the dog right there saying, Mom, Dad, not comfortable here, this needs to stop. Get this thing out of here, or whatever you're doing, I'm not comfortable. And if you correct your dog for growling, you know what's going to happen? Your dog's going to stop growling. But it doesn't mean your dog got over whatever the issue was. It just now means your dog said, okay, I can't growl, so I'm not going to communicate to you that I'm nervous or scared. I'm just going to react. And that's when we get the clients who call us and say, I didn't see it coming. My dog just out of the blue bit the kid. I'm like, okay, well, and we get into it and you find out, well, the dog had growled at the kid before and they scolded the dog and hit him or whatever, and it was bad. So that is something to really, really, really pay attention to, is learn your dog's tells, learn your dog's body language, critically important. All right, so the next one, forcing your dog to accept being petted. Well, that basically is kind of the story I told before, except in this example, it would be a person petting it. And honestly, I would say dog owners are guilty of this, but also people that want to pet dogs are guilty of this. Oh, I love dogs. Oh, I'm friendly. You could be like, no, my dog's not good with people. No, it's okay. I'm great with people. And they want to like force themselves onto your dog. Advocating for your dog is massively important, and it's extremely lacking. But yeah, you don't want to force your dog to do anything like this that they don't want to do, especially petting. Like I'm trying to like think about like what is forcibly making are you like holding your dog there with somebody pets? Like, where's the enjoyment? For one, as somebody who wants to pet, like, let's say I want to pet your dog. If you're like, okay, well, he's super nervous and doesn't like this, but I'm going to let you do it. And then the person comes up and pets your dog and your dog looks totally unhappy, miserable, like, that's not why I'm not petting your dog because I just want to pet your dog. I want to pet your dog because, a lot of dogs like being pet, and I want to bring joy to this dog because it brings joy to me, and it's a mutual thing. But when it's not a mutual thing, why the hell would you do it anyways? So if you notice a dog not wanting to be touched or pet, for fuck's sake, don't do it. Just stop. All right. Knowingly bringing an aggressive dog around other people or animals. This is another big, massive, fat-ass reason why I don't do dog parks. Because this is what people do. They're that lady from 15 years ago at that expo. They go, my dog is bad with other dogs. So they think the solution is to get them around other dogs. So I'm going to take a dog who is aggressive towards other dogs or shy towards other dogs and dump them into a dog park. Or take them to an expo, right? And they're going to do this. And what you see is a whole bunch of problems. You see dog fights, people get bit, things like that. I mean, this is so self-explanatory of why you should not do this. So if you're sitting here listening to this right now and you're like, I was going to take my dog to the dog park because they really need to be socialized. There's better ways to do it. There's more correct ways to do it. And obviously you can totally reach out to us. We can do a online call and work through whatever problems you might have. Remember, OnDogTrainingAcademy.com. We can help you with this. You don't need to take your dog to a dog park to get them friendly or good with other dogs. So definitely don't do this. Please don't do this. And remember, not all dogs like dogs. Not all people like certain people. Like, we have our types. So there's no point in forcing a dog or creating a problem or putting other people's dogs at risks. The stories that come out of dog parks are downright terrifying, to be honest with you. Okay, the next one is giving human medications to your dog. Okay. Okay, yeah, so I'm not going to get into what medications, because I am not a vet, but there are some human medications that dogs can take, and certain human things that dog can take in certain situations. So this one, I'm not going to say this one is really something I feel like needs to be stopped ASAP, like the article states, but I can see, again, if your dog feels like they're in pain, there's certain medications you can't give them that we get, There's pain medications that they just cannot have. So you need to make sure you do your due diligence, and really, you could talk to a vet, whatever, and figure out, is this a medication I give my dog? But there are certain things that dogs can have. I just don't want to necessarily get into it too much. All right, so it looks like, yay, we made it through the whole list of 14. I got to read the article again. There we go. 14 rude habits dog owners need to stop ASAP. So I want to thank Charlotte Anderson for this article. It's a great article. I think there was some really good points in it. Some things, as you probably heard, that I definitely was more passionate about than others. Some things that I have personally been guilty of, and I bet you there was probably some that you guys were hearing and went, oh, shit, that's me. And if it is, cool. Like, nobody's perfect, right? We all make mistakes. We all have certain things that we're not as good at or we need to be better, whatever. It's fine. But hopefully this, I honestly hope people who are listening to this weren't just agreeing with me the whole time going like, oh yeah, those people are terrible. Oh yeah, those people are terrible. I hope to some degree you were one of these people in here, because then it means you can change and you can make it better, right? Just one person picking up poop, it's the butterfly effect, right? So like one person that goes, you know what, I'm going to start picking up after my dog, and they pick up after the dog. Well, maybe that one act of picking up your dog's poop stopped somebody else from stepping in it and ruining their day and causing whatever else to happen after that, right? So it's just, I'm just hoping you guys heard something and you're like, oh, I didn't even really think about it that way, and maybe I won't take my dog to a dog park then, or maybe I'll pick up after my dog, or you know what, I've been guilty of pretending my dog was a service dog, and I never really thought about how it could affect legit service dog people or teams. So really, I hope this was helpful, educational, whatever. If you are listening to this and you said, oh my God, I have a friend, I have an enemy, I have family, I have whatever that fits this, send this podcast to them and let them hear about how how they're annoying people, I guess. Anyways, guys, that is going to be it for this week. Hopefully this was at the very least entertaining. I feel like I'm going to be doing some more read and reacts because I kind of like reading stuff and reacting very authentically. Just like read it as you guys are hearing it, right? As we're recording this now. I think it gets a little bit more, you get more passion from it. You get a little bit more realism, right? It's my gut instinct coming out for you guys. But again, if you guys have any questions, anything like that, we are all over social medias. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. I haven't done TikTok yet. Well, we probably have a TikTok channel. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be partaking in TikTok. Maybe, we'll see, whatever. Anyways, guys, you can check all those out. I will put links in the description of this episode to everything you guys would need. We do have a tip jar there. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, we thank you so much because, yes, this isn't free. This does cost money, but it's worth it to us to bring you guys information, so we don't have a problem paying it. It's just if you want to help us, we are greatly appreciative to everybody who has already donated. It's awesome. So check out, guys, ondogtrainingacademy.com, and like every week, we'll see you next time. Good dog.